So, if my life was an episode or many episodes of a Netflix series, that would be my title. The reason is because I was always the wrong girl at the right place. So I'll give you an example. I decided to visit a friend of mine who lives in Czech Republic or Czech. And I was so excited to go to Prague. But then what happened was I ended up in a village. I don't even know the name of the village. And I had fireworks for my birthday. And then I got trapped in a graveyard. And I had to climb over the wall. And I landed in a wonderful park, found a house and a garage, and rescued 2 girls who were so drunk, they actually locked themselves inside. And I was telling myself, okay, maybe this is a fluke, okay? And then 3 years ago, I decided to go to Rome because I thought Roman history. I took a flight and ended up in Scotland. And yes, that's a very interesting question. Even the immigration officer was like, really? So I ended up in Scotland. I didn't know anyone in Scotland. So I made friends with all these people in their 50s and 60s. And I did 10 days of Scottish folk dance. And then ended up in a Scientology church. That one I never understood. But here's the thing. My life is full of detours, including how I arrived in Taiwan. And the thing is, you've got to be a little bit of a mixed nut in order to survive. Okay? And I trained to be a mixed nut. You can train to be a mixed nut. So I worked in a restaurant. I was doing my sabbatical. And this restaurant is very unique. At 9 o'clock sharp, the manager will have a mental breakdown. So she'll go to her office and she'll look herself up. And then from 9 to 10, we've got lots of orders. And you're at the back of the house, you're trying to deal with it. The front of the house and the back of the house will be having a yelling competition in front of the customers. And you are like in a pressure cooker right now, right? And at that moment, a colleague will come up to you and say, Ling, we've got a problem. I say, what's going on? He said, look, you turn around. The microwave is on fire. Like you literally see the fire going out. And he said, should we tell the manager? I said, no, let's rescue the lava cake. That one is very important. So then this happens every night. The shenanigans happen every night at 9 p.m. And nobody found a solution to it. So I told myself, if I were in this situation, as a manager, I would have. But because everybody around me, they're quite nuts. And they are perfectly fine with chaos. So I said, you know what? You can't beat them. Join them. So I became a bit of a mixed nut. So you learn to deal with chaos. But before I even do that, when I was a teacher, a friend of mine used to say, Ling is like a magpie. You can put her in a crisis and she'll come up with a very intelligent and very creative solution. So my last year of teaching in Singapore, I was teaching a graduating class, was very excited. I went to class, they're going to graduate in 3 months. This is the class that terrorized the entire school. I'm so happy to say goodbye to them. So I walked into the classroom. As I walked in, one boy punched the other boy in the mouth. And I was sitting there, I walked in and I said, oh my God, 3 minutes, not a Madonna song, 3 minutes. I had to make a decision. So I walked in and I told my class, listen, I'm here to teach you to get ready for your exam. You don't care about yourself, you don't care about each other, you don't even care about your life. At the rate you're going to be dead before I'm dead. So you know what? We're not going to write your resume. You're going to take out a piece of paper and you're going to write a eulogy. And then my class asked me, what's a eulogy? A speech someone gives you after you die. And they said, really? And I have one smart Alex who told me, teacher, next week is Chinese New Year, very inauspicious, cannot write. And I told him, I said, if you don't write, you will feel what inauspiciousness means. And the thing was, at the next year when they came to visit me, they told me, teacher, that was one of the best lessons. I said, why? They said, it made us reflect about our life. And I said, great. And they said, what did you write, teacher, when you go home? I said, no, I drew a tombstone and I wrote, here lies Miss Ling's hopes and dreams. And the thing is, the only thing that I was proud of at the end of the day was the fact that my students had a grammatically correct eulogy that they can use later on in life. So if you ask me, who is Ling? She is the girl who took lots of detours and now have ended up in Taiwan. And it is the girl who's a little bit of a mixed nut. And most importantly, she is the magpie who drew her own tombstone. Thank you.